Hello again, Goth Emo Air Raiders. Welcome back to our firing range where we're testing all the weapon types in EDF 5. We're going to be finishing up Air Raider this time, and we're going to be on the stationary turrets column. But before we get to that, he has those biscuits he throws along the ground still. But this time they made a little bit of a change in them. Instead of having to activate them yourself like in the previous games, they actually go off. Either they track to an enemy, or they'll go off themselves. So they can make them a little bit more useful, but I think they're more of a fun weapon than a useful weapon. Unless, of course, there's certain missions maybe that'll benefit from them. Let's start with here the Splendor Biscuit. This thing has nine biscuits, and it does a total of 16,308 damage if all 9 of them hit. Of course, that's not going to happen probably. It does about 1,800 per biscuit. And it has a 56.6 meter search range, a 150 meter blast, and then a 2.9 second reload. So, I don't know. It's not terrible, but like I said, it's more for specialty purposes. Then let's go on to this one. This is the Bomb Biscuit. It has 7 shots total. It does a total of 19,817.7 damage, and it has a 19.3 meter blast radius. Now this one locks onto targets, so it has a 350 meter lock on, and it only can lock onto one target though, per biscuit. Of course, you can actually lock on each one separately to different enemies, but it's not exactly easy to do. And it'll seek out its target, and it will blow up when it gets to it. And it has a 2.2 second reload, so pretty quick reload, which is nice. And then there's the Speed Star, which is back, which is just a joke item that doesn't do any damage, and it just you just throw it, and I don't know. I feel like they should have maybe made it do something silly, like maybe have one of those anime girls pop out of it or something when you shoot it, but maybe it does. I haven't used it yet, so we'll see. So let's go ahead and take these underground here really quick to take a look at it. Sure, why not? I don't know if this is a good mission or not. I use these once in a while for fun. It can be useful if you're trying to not go inside of an area and just attack from far away, but honestly, I don't know, there's probably better options. So this one, just you throw it and it'll set off its sensors, and once the sensors see the target, it'll blow up. And the tracking's a little bit better in this. Unfortunately, you can't like reload them while they're still out and then throw some more. I think if they changed that, it would make it a lot better. Because right now I still have one that hasn't gone off yet, so I can't reload it unless I manually reload it. So I'm not sure why they... This is the other one where it locks onto a target, so you can pick the target you want to lock onto, and it'll go track that target. And it seems to use the tracking of the AI NPCs. If you noticed in this game, there's like a arrow that, like if you're certain missions, you're following NPCs. It seems like it uses that, so it will track relatively wisely, but it's not perfect, of course. It will go up hills and stuff and like go through paths, it seems like. But yeah, pretty cool. As you can see, they go out and track. See, it's a lot more useful now, of course, because before you had to manually set them off. So here's the Speed Stars, which don't do anything. You can't set them off or anything, so... But yeah, those are the... I think it can be some use if you're trying to just, you know, throw down a hallway or something. But, very niche thing. Got a nice blast, nice damage though, it's not too bad. The bomb one does, what, over 2,000 damage, so 19 meter blast, so it's not terrible. Alright, now let's go on to the other type of specialty weapon he has, which is level 60. These things are his flying bombs. These things will stick to enemies. They unfortunately they fly into the air. Like they'll start out low and then they'll keep going higher and higher in the air. You get 40 of them maxed out, and it does a total of 90,596 damage. A 13.6 meter blast and a 3.7 second reload. So, but as you'll see, as I'll show here, it's not exactly easy to use. And then he has level 42, which are the bouncing ones. These things are probably more useful because they stay along the ground. You get 12 of them. It does a total of 10,872 damage, and a 17-meter blast, and a 3.7-second reload. So a little bit under 1,000 per. So yeah, 906 damage per bomb. And let's just go ahead and take those two really quickly. I can't say I've ever used these, honestly. I would prefer the bomb biscuit over the bouncing ones, I think, because of more damage. I mean, obviously this is only level 42, but these will just start on the ground. They'll just keep flying upward and upward until they hit an enemy and either stick to it or miss, unfortunately. I mean, they won't stick to walls, but they just kind of fly and stick to things. I mean, they don't have the greatest blast, only 13.6 meter blast, so I don't know. If they had like a 50-meter blast, I could see using them, because you could just set them off into the air for a wasp and then just set them off when they're near the target, not, you know, sticking to the target. And then these just bounce. I never noticed that sound before. That's pretty good. It sounds like a 1930s rickety pogo stick. That's pretty good. And then they set off one at a time. So, not too useful, I don't think. But nonetheless, they're in the game just for something interesting. Alright, let's head on to the turrets now. That's all the specialty items in that column he has. So, the turrets are amazing this time. Very, very good. I use them almost all the time with him, usually in my setup. Let's start with the fire turrets. He has new turrets this time, which are fire ones. They're like flamethrowers, and very, very useful for stun lock, and they last a very long time, because the third stat down, 1600, shows how long the turret will last, and it's more than double most of the turrets, or all the turrets. So this is the best fire turret. It has 5 of them. It does a total of 217,600 damage. Has a 90-meter search, which is pretty good, and a 29.4-second reload. So let's take one of those. And then he has... His XR guns are back. This time there's 4 of them instead of 3. Mine's not maxed out. There's 4 of them. It does a total of 158,600 damage. So it does less damage than the fire turrets, but of course they fire faster and they use their ammo up quicker. Has a 300-meter search and a 29.4-second reload. So they all have the same reload time, I believe. And then he has the... if you're interested in the DLC weapons, I did a separate video on that, that's why I'm not covering them. Then he has the Zex launchers. The standard Zex launchers are back, and there's 4 of these as well. It does a total of 163,072 damage, a 600-meter search, and a 17-meter blast, 29.4-second reload. So, very useful. It just depends on the circumstance, of course, but all 3 of those are useful. Let's go ahead and use them down here, I guess. But I'm very happy with the fire turrets. It was a very nice surprise. I didn't expect this, honestly, so very happy. And like I said, these fire turrets last forever, so you can use them to block off tunnels to protect yourself, which is mainly what I use them for, of course. And then you can now have the other turrets in the background reloading or doing the damage for you, while these are just doing the stun lock. But as you can see, they have a pretty good range. 90 meters is pretty decent. But yeah, very useful, and these things will last forever. I'll keep them going and show you how long they last here. I'm going to throw the Zexar guns out now. These things have always been good. They don't feel any different to me, except that they have 1 extra. So I'll set these off. You do throw the turrets now, as you can see. You don't lay them down in front of you, so in a way that's kind of nice as well. I kind of like that, because you can get them away from you more instead of throwing them and rolling back. And then he has Zex launchers too, which are the slower shooting rockets, but very far range. If you ever want to get kicked out of a room online, to take Zex launchers on every mission and just set them off, and they'll pull the whole map on Inferno, and you probably get kicked out pretty quickly in the game. As you can see, the fire turrets are still going, but these things are great in the right circumstances, of course. So I'll wait till these turrets start reloading. And alright, the Zexar guns are done, Zex launcher's done, fire's still going. Yeah, these things will last so long. You have to be careful not to stay in them because they will burn you to death because you can't get out of the stun lock. But yeah, now they're just now finally going out, so pretty nice. Alright, let's go back. The Z10 guns have returned, and this time there is 12 of them, which is ironic. But yeah, Z10 guns, the difference about them is you have more of them. Instead of having 4, you have 12. And they shoot slower, though, unfortunately. That's what kind of makes them more negative. They do a total of 108,720 damage, so about 50,000 less than the Zexar guns. Only 150 meter search, so it's a shorter range. 29.4 second reload still. But it's more of like a, I guess, if you're trying to defend yourself here and there and you have a couple enemies come after you, you could throw one down and protect yourself while you're doing other things, and another enemy comes later, you can throw another one down. Or you can just use them for close damage, but they're more of a niche thing, and it's more on hardest, I would say. And then he has level 52 fire turrets which have long range, 120 meters compared to 90. And there's only 2 of them though. And they do 43,520 damage, 29.4 second reload. And then he has the Z snipers, which are back, which are only low level. I wish they would have higher level ones, but they're really not good. They're level 19. They have a 1200 meter search, 5,660 damage total out of 5 turrets, and once again 29.4 second reload. And the problem with these is they miss, and I was setting them out on a wasp level and I was watching them, and they missed an awful lot, so I never can see using these really unless they're slow targets. But even so, the damage is relatively low. I don't know if it would ever be worth it. And this is compared to, this is level 19, and this is compared to the level 11 Zeragun, which does 4K damage. So it's relatively the same damage as the Z snipers, and they work a lot better. So I would usually take these over even the Z snipers, even though they're level 19. And then the level 18, or sorry, the level 26 Z guns do 18,000 damage compared to the 5K damage the Z snipers do. So the thing below it and the thing above it outclasses it. So just something that, unfortunately, I hope they can eventually make those better. Alright. I will use the Z snipers to pull the enemies here. Then I'll put my fire turrets off. But I use these an awful lot too. If you want 2 sets of fires, usually you'll take the best level and then you'll take these level, the 2 set ones for a rotating stun lock. Alright, let's see if we can pull some enemies here. Alright, let's go ahead and set off these. Now these Z10s unfortunately take a long time to lay out because he has a slow animation, so that's also another negative. If you're trying to do all of them at once for damage. Let me show how slow they fire here. About 2 a second, 3 a second at most. Not terrible, but like I said, 150 meter range, so it's closer range. But there is a time and place for them, I think, on lower difficulties where that's where you're limited to. It's decent damage, you put them all out, so. So yeah, those are the turrets. Very good this time. I definitely recommend using the fire ones for if you're getting stuck with hordes of enemies coming after you. Pretty useful. Alright, let's see. Let's go on to the next row, which is the beacon guns. Or his laser guides and the beacon guns. He still has the laser guides as well. The best one, level 81, it does, let's see here, does a 6x lock-on speed and a 4x lock-on distance. So, say your missile takes 6 seconds to lock on, it would lock on in 1 second. And then say you only have a 10 or 100 meter range, it would have a 400 meter range. So pretty nice for like Leviathans or for fencer missiles, or even even some ranger missiles. If you can lock everything onto one target, you can also maybe use that there as well. But yeah, those have returned. And then there's also a level 6 one. See, the rest of these are slowly get worse as you go down. You know, as far as the numbers, but there's a level 6 one that does a 5x lock-on speed and a 5x lock-on distance, which is pretty high for low level. But the thing is, it only has a low, like a 280 meter range or something like that only, but could be good on low levels perhaps, but just something to keep in mind. Then he has the beacon ones. There's two kinds of beacons. There's a beacon that has a lot of shots, a lot of beacons, like this one, the best one. It has 12 shots. It has a 1.5 second lock-on speed and a 2.5x lock-on distance. So this is for if you want to beacon a lot of targets, which can be good for Leviathan missiles, of course. And then there's a level 64, which is one shot, and it has higher stats though. It has a 2x lock-on speed and a 4x lock-on distance. This is just if you just want one target. As far as the range goes, the range is good on both of them, honestly. This is 860 meter range, and this has a over 1300 meter range. So I think regardless you're going to be fine with either ranges, but it's just if you want more shots or one shot. And the same as the lower ones, it's just, you know, more shots 8 or low shots 2, so same idea. So I'm not going to really show those because there's really not much to show about those, honestly. And same with these, there's really not too much to show about the healing. I'll start with the healing here. The way the healing works is, how you calculate the health is you take the number of how much it heals. Like for example, this one heals 14.5. It says a second, but it's not true. It's 14.5 times 60. So that's how much it heals, and then that amount heals for 10 seconds. So the level 79 winds up healing 8,700 per beacon. So you have 10 shots of that. So 87,000 total. It's not too bad. And it's 4.8 meter range as far as the beacon itself, so kind of small, but definitely can be useful. And then he has a healing tank, which you lay down on the ground. This thing has, this thing also lasts for 10 seconds. I don't know if I covered that or not. And then there's the healing tanks where it heals more slowly over time. This thing heals 1.9 health times 60. And then it does that for 60 seconds, so almost 120 health a second. And it heals for a total of 6,840 per tank, and there's 5 of them. So 7 times 5, so 35,000 healing roughly. It has a 30.2 meter range, so more for healing multiple people at a time. So pretty nice. Can be useful as well for vehicles. It can reach inside the vehicles. And then just the other ones are, they go down, they're a little bit less as you go down the tree, of course. So nothing really too special to mention on these. So, pretty useful. Alright, on to the power. He has power again. The power ones, the best one, level 84, is a power tank. It has 3 of them. And it gives you 52.3% more damage for your weapons. Has a 36.2 meter range, so not too bad. 22.1 second reload. For all the tanks, all these tanks reload 22.1 second. And it lasts for 90 seconds. So similar to the previous game. I'm not sure why they made it like 52.3 instead of just 50%, but that is something I noticed on all the weapons. They're like point something, which is strange. And then the level 66 power gun, which does 52.3% damage, same as the tank. Has a 4.8 meter range, 60 seconds it lasts, and a 2.8 second reload, so very fast reload. And then of course he has the 20%. Let's see, level 58. The special thing about level 58 is it has a big range. It has 84.5 meter range, but it only gives you 20.9% damage more. Lasts 90 seconds, and once again 22.1 second reload. And then there's the guns, of course, 20% guns, 20.9% guns. I usually won't take 20% because it's not noticeable enough. I'll either take 50% or not at all usually, for the most part, unless that extra 20% makes a difference to one-shot an enemy with something. But usually I'll stick with the 50% or not at all for power. Maybe because of the 84 meter range, you might take 58 to give your NPCs a bunch of more damage, but you'd have to have a lot of NPCs to make it worthwhile. And then he has defense posts as well here. So the best one is level 75 here. You have 3 of them, and it does a 31.4% defense to you. So that means you take 68.6% damage. So it's cutting off 31.4% of the damage. It has a 90.5 meter range, which is pretty crazy. It lasts 120 seconds long, and a 22.1 second reload. So this can be useful for a lot of NPCs if you have in one large area. Then he has level 64, which does 52.3% defense. So you only take, 47.7% damage. Has a 36.2 meter range, lasts for 2 minutes, and the same reload time. And then he has a defense gun, which is level 42, which is pretty low for the 50%, which is pretty nice. So 52.3% defense, 4.8 meter range, and then it lasts a minute and a half. And it has a 2.8 second reload. And then the actual same thing as the previous game, the best defense is level 17. It's 62.7% compared to 52.3. I mean, I don't know if it's enough to make a difference to worth taking. I mean, if you don't need a lot of range, because it's only 14.5 meter range, that's the negative of it. But it does have the highest defense in the game, so just something to keep in mind. They got rid of the plasma this time around for the wing diver, and I think I understand why. I think it was a little bit too good. That would be my guess as to why they got rid of that. Plus she has charge weapons now, but still regardless, giving her plasma would be pretty crazy. But I think they got rid of it because of weapons like the huge rocket launcher she has that she can charge up that does 55,000 damage, or like the sniper she has that can do 80,000 if she stands inside of a plasma thing and you just keep using that damage over and over again. I think it'd be too broken, so that's probably why they got rid of it. And then the last column, which won't take too long to get, he has his bunkers back. As far as I can tell, all the bunkers are the same, except that the health is higher. So he has absolute bunkers back, level 89. There's 5 of them at 45,000 health each, and a 44.1 second reload, so I'll take one of those. Those are probably the best, of course, if you just need close shields just for one area, if you're trying to stand in one small area. Level 88 is back. It's one large prison. It does 150,000 health, but it has a long reload, 58.8 second reload, and you only get one of them. So I'll take one of those. And then he has level 78, which is Borderline, I think it's called. It has 2 of them, and they're 90,000 each, and a 58.8 second reload. Once again, a very long reload. But that's still pretty useful in certain circumstances. I'll take them out here just to show how they lay, because it's all about how the pattern you want for the shield is mainly what you'll pick. So if you want the maximum number of healing in a small area, then you want the absolute bunkers for sure. Like if you're trying to go underneath a building or something, and you don't want the shields to take much damage, you're trying to hide, you know, back here or something, then you would place these, you know, because they're very small shields, but they'd have very high health. So, but if you're out in the open, you can always stack them like this, and then you can stand in between the gap. That's probably the best way to lay the shields, honestly, from my experience. Then he has the the big prison. This is for if you want a lot of protection, relatively high up from all angles. This can be useful, but very long reload, so something to keep in mind as well. And then these, the Borderline, which usually I'll stack them like this and then stand in between the gap. These are pretty nice if you want to spread out, you know, and everyone's standing between the gap for protection. But yeah, those are the same bunkers as previously. Let's go back. So what? The absolute bunkers do 250,000 health almost. The borderline does 150,000 health. The borderline does 180,000, and the prison does 150,000. So 250 is the highest so far. So now let's go to the level. Let's see, these are nothing special. It's the same as the absolute bunkers, but a lower level version of them. He has anti-aircraft bunkers again, level 69. These are, you get 4 of them, and they're 45,000 each. And the benefit of these is they reload in 29.4 seconds, so very, very fast reload. So these could be useful in certain circumstances if you want a quicker reload. So what is it, 5 times 5 is... It's close to... Actually, yeah, it's very close to the absolute bunkers as far as health goes. Just 50,000 less, so it's 200 instead of 250,000. So those could be useful if you wanna, if you're gonna plan on reloading your bunkers. You need less time to reload them. The prisons are back, and I still love them. They are, you get 3 of them, and I'm thinking they're about 35k. I can't get the official number on the wiki. It's not leveled up, but I think it's around 36,000 each. But the benefit of these is they reload in 14.7 seconds. I mean, they upped it from 10 seconds in the previous game, but it's still very fast. So if you want fast cover, if you're mobile and you want to stay mobile and moving around the map and just placing cover for your friends, this is probably your best bet because they reload so fast. And you'll see how they lay uniquely as well. Let's see, and then the last one I want to cover is level 40, which is called the selfish cell, as I like to call it. It's literally, well, I'll show you when you get there. Let's go ahead and start here. So the prisons do 3 at 35,000. So 3 times 3 is 90,000. 3 times 5 is 15,000. So 105,000 with a 14-second reload for these babies. So pretty good. They're unique in that they lay like this, very strange, like a big U pattern. So, and they're very long. They go for very long distance like that. So what you can do is, of course, you can do the same idea where you can either cross hatch them if you're trying to make a little thing in the center, or you can just lay them every foot, move a foot forward and lay them. You can stand in between the gaps. There's different ways to use them, but I really like them as mobile cover because they reload in the background too, so you can just move forward with your friends and then place some more cover for your friends, and then just lay them down, you know. And then you can stand in the gap or whatever, you know, if you need a gap. Or if you want them to take less damage, because they're larger, they will take more damage. The way you can benefit, or way you can use them to not take as much damage, is you can lay them through buildings. It's like, for example, lay them right here, and then all of a sudden they're not going to die as fast because the majority of the shield is inside the building, and then when you stand inside of it, you'll still be protected. So just something to keep in mind for those. And then here's the selfish cell. Where you place it in, it's just for you and yourself. You can have someone stand on top of your head, but it doesn't. I don't really use this much because I haven't really found much use for it. Maybe for drone missions, but it's better to take a shield that everyone can use, so I don't know. Kind of funny though. And then the anti-aircraft bunkers, which are, the only negative of them is they place a little bit further forward than I would like. But if you want a lot of health and a quicker reload, then this is the way to go. They are higher as well, but you can still use them, you know, against buildings, and so I think these can definitely be useful on Inferno if you want higher reload, so kind of nice. Alright, those are the bunkers. Let's go back. And then, what are we on now? He does have decoys now, and they're better this time around. I think that was all the shields. Let me check. Yeah, that was all the shields. So the decoys. He has some good decoys now. He has a level 82 decoy. This thing has 3 of them, and they have 24,000 health each. They only last for 90 seconds, but and they reload 44.1 seconds. So quite a long time to reload them, but I think they can be useful in certain circumstances because of how much health they have. It's unfortunate with the reload though. But let's take one of those. And then he has another set that's level 63. And these, you get 4 of them instead of 3. They have 6,000 health each. They last for 2 minutes instead of 90 seconds, and they reload 29.4 seconds. So, kind of nice. So let's go ahead and take those. What you can do is, you can place these inside of buildings so that they'll last longer, and then you can set them off when you need a, when you need some distraction. So, what you can do is you can go to like a building here, and then just go up to the window and just place one down, and then set it off, and it'll last a little bit longer. Excuse me, because it's inside the building. And also, so the way you can do this though is you can lay down one, and then set it off when the enemies start coming after you, and then when that one dies, you can lay the other one, set the other one off, and then the enemies go to that one, and then just keep chaining it, and you can use all 3. But yeah, that's something you can do with those. And then there's the these that have a little bit less health, but yeah, just something that can be useful sometimes. I can't say I use them too often, but doesn't mean that they're bad by any means. I'm trying not to get them on the actual glass, but yeah, those are the decoys. They're actually useful now because of just how much health they have, so pretty cool. Alright, now I have one more weapon set to cover, and you may be asking, well, where's the Skywire trap, the best, coolest weapon in the game, even though they kind of nerfed it 4.1. Unfortunately, well, first when I first saw this weapon, I was like, hey, they brought it back, the Skywire trap, and boy, does it do a lot of damage. My goodness. And then I was like, what? 36 meter range? What? 36 meter range? I don't understand. So, There's two of these I want to cover. These are the new weapon he has. Unfortunately, the Skywire trap is no longer there. Maybe in the DLC, hopefully. But this thing, it's like a shotgun. So let me take this one and take this other one here. Level 78 does. You get 2 shots. It does 453, or anything anywhere between 453 to 45 damage. And that's multiplied by 34. It has a 36 meter range for the first shot, and then for the explosion, it has a 180 meter range. So it does a total of 15,402 damage if all the projectiles hit, which they're not, probably. So this one has 2 shots. This is the best one. The reload time, unfortunately, is 3 seconds, so very, very long. If it had a quicker reload or a bigger magazine, I could see maybe taking it, but even then, the range is just too bad. And then this one has 1 shot. The rest of them have 1 shot. Well, this one has 2 shots too, but most of them have 1 shot. And this one does more damage. It does 15,220. Actually, it doesn't do more. It does 200 less, but it's also level 60. It does 543 x times 28 shots, 30 meter range, 3 second reload, and then 180 meter range as well. So I'll show how these work and what they do. I'm kind of disappointed in these, honestly. I was hoping for the Skywire or make these good. I mean, you could make them good technically. So what you do with this is, how you use these weapons are you go close to the enemy because you want all the damage to go there, and then what it does is it blows up. Let me show here. It hits the enemy and then it blows up into the Splendor Shot, which has a 180 meter range. So it's like a shotgun that then explodes into a Splendor Shot, but it's just one Splendor Shot. It's hard to see a little bit what it does, but you can kind of see it breaks into a Splendor Shot when you shoot it, but the thing is you have to be so close that I don't know when you would use this thing. Because the thing is, if you're getting that close to an enemy, it's only 15,000 damage. If you're getting that close to an enemy, you're probably going to be in trouble. You're not going to be able to survive that. So I don't know when you would use this, really. It's not like it has 100,000 damage. Maybe if it had 100,000, I could see maybe. But even then, air raider's not going to get close enough to the enemy, 36-meter range. And it says it's used as a weapon to protect himself, but sure, that's fine, but if you have 2 shots with a 3-second reload, you're not going to be able to protect yourself. I mean, you could give this thing a 25-round magazine, and I still probably wouldn't take it as a protection weapon. But even so, it wouldn't break it. At least it would make it somewhat tempting. I don't know. And then the other ones have 1 shot? I mean, I don't understand. It's kind of hard to see what it does, but what it does is it hits the enemy and then it blows up into a splendor shot. So those splendor shots will hit the enemy. And, well, technically it will. And it has a 180-meter range, it'll bounce a little bit, but if you're that close to the enemy, most projectiles are going to go right into the enemy, so I don't know. I don't understand this weapon. If someone else understands it and has a use for it, let me know, but I haven't really. I'm definitely not impressed with it. Because you have to be super close as well. So it doesn't do anything. It doesn't really do anything unless you hit an enemy with it. It won't like do the splendor shot thing. So let me go a little further away from the enemy and see if I can. Yeah, very underwhelming, unfortunately. So yeah, that's the final weapon. I hate to end on a bummer note, but that's unfortunately the final weapon he has. So maybe they'll make it useful in the next game or something, but I'm not sure what they were thinking with that weapon, honestly. My only guess is like they were trying to get the skywire trap in the game. They couldn't make it work or something, and they just had to swap it out at the last minute for something. They're like, yeah, let's just do this. It's safe. But yeah, that's all the weapons for Air Raider. So next time we're going to cover Fencer. So once again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.